Good morning. Happy Monday. I'm here at work on Monday, April 7th. It's about 7:15 in the morning. I tend to come to work really early just to get things done. So I've been here since 6:30. And I wanted to take this moment to create video number 1 for you all that have been inspired to join me on the collective healing and consciousness raising hike. So my goal is to create 3 videos. This first video, I want to talk about my journey, why, or try to explain how this became a thing or how I became inspired, a little bit about my journey. And then video number 2, I will start breaking down mindfulness practices, why I am instructing everyone who's participating to incorporate them now in preparation for the experience, but as well as beyond. So I'll get into that more in the second video. And then in the third one, we will talk about the area we're going to meet at and preparing for the hike. So please, watch them in detail and participate accordingly. I do think in order to maximize your experience and the benefits that you will gain from embarking on this journey with me, I think that, or I believe, I'm sure of, incorporating these things are going to maximize your growth as well as launch your healing journey through the sacred hike. So how did I end up coming up with this? About a year ago, around this time, I don't know where to start, but I will say my first visit to this area launched me on a rapid healing and growth journey for myself. I'm still figuring it out, but I'm just going to describe, how it's played out for me and why I'm inviting you. So approximately a year ago, I had been inspired to go to where we're going randomly one afternoon, unplanned. And so a little backdrop to that is in my work, but particularly in my personal life, I thought that I was managing or trying to manage what I believed were perimenopausal like emotional ups and downs, which had increased, right? More dysregulation, more feeling not myself, kind of like when we are having PMS, right? It was happened to me more often where I would feel overwhelmed, whatever the case may be. But that being said, being a wellness professional, right? A professor as well as a therapist, I'm invested in wellness and I try to prioritize my own wellness. And I believe that, I can't help others heal or guide or support others to heal if I'm not always working on my own personal healing and growth. And there's nothing that I share with others or that I encourage others to do that I don't do for myself, because we all have challenges within ourselves as well as a duty to find our balance. So through this managing my dysregulation, I had been incorporating for many years now one thing that I do is I will remove myself, and I encourage others to do so, right? When we're feeling at our max, I encourage especially women to have alone time. What I find is a lot of times, we don't want to be alone, or we think we need company in order to be happy. That's kind of mistake number 1. But anyways, over the years, one of my tactics of wellness was to take myself away at times. So I will often, if I'm feeling like I need a break from family, work, friends, whoever, husband, you name it, I will bounce. I will go for a night or a couple of days. So about a year ago, I was feeling that way. I was feeling at my max. I'm like, oh, goodness gracious. I work heavy profession with a lot of responsibility. So oftentimes I need a timeout. so I don't hurt myself or someone else, to be honest. Kidding, but not kidding, right? So I was feeling at my max one afternoon. It was a Friday, and I randomly started looking for a place to go get away and relax by myself. And so I found this particular camp or cabin location over by Hoosac Mountain Range in the Mohawk Trail area, North Adams area that afternoon. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go. And I had been practicing, not overthinking. You just go. We are trapped in this cycle of constantly someone or something outside of us having an obligation, having a plan, needing this, needing that. I was like, nope, I'm going. It's not that far from my house. I'm going to grab my stuff. I'm going to go. I'm going to bring basics. I didn't even think about it. And so I rented a cabin in this area and I went for the weekend. And I ended up meeting the owner the next day. So that night, it was nighttime by the time I got there. I checked into the little cabin. They have individual cabins. I rented one for myself. They're fully equipped with heat and bathroom and things like that. And I took the night. The next day, I met the owner, who was fabulous. She was super sweet. Needless to say, it felt like I was meant to be there after that night. Like the way things went with the woman, she just took an interest in me as a solo traveler. She encouraged me to, Girl Scout it out. I ended up making my own, lunch or whatever on the charcoal grill myself that night. Just a bunch of things. I was just relaxing on my own. I did some work up there on my own. There's a really strong cell phone signal, so I was still able to do things. But I knew I wanted to get out in nature. So another thing I had began to incorporate in my life more, I've always been a nature person, was I was being pulled back more and more. Anytime I wasn't feeling myself, I will go out for a walk, go out in nature, go out for something, right? But I was alone and I was in an area I hadn't hiked before. But I had learned right next door to the campground, there's Hoosac Mountain Range right there. And I was in the cafe. There's a little shop where the camp is. And I was in there getting my complimentary coffee that morning, talking to the owner. And a family came in and they just came down from the hike. It was about 10 in the morning or so. And I asked them about it, how it was and things like that. I knew I wanted to go out that day and I was staying another day. So I was trying to make use of my time and heal and all that. So I had never done a hike like a long hike deep in the woods by myself. So I asked them about it and they told me, 6 miles, 3 miles one way, 3 miles the other. They told me the name of the summit that they did. And I looked at the owner and I asked her, I said, have you ever done that hike by yourself? And she said, all the time. I live kind of along the trail, blah, blah, blah. And she encouraged me to go. So I knew I had to do this. I had already had it on my heart. Something brought me to this place. I was feeling off. And I know that when I do a good hike, my body really releases a lot of that sort of dark, heavy energy that tends to throw us off, that we pile up in our bodies over time, emotionally, signals from outside world. We carry all of that. We absorb all of that. Our bodies are energetic, and we'll get into more of that in the next video. So anyways, I was a little nervous in the sense of, not that I'm unfamiliar. I'd never done a deep hike by myself. 6 miles is a beast to kind of tackle on your own, but I knew that I wanted to, and I knew that I had to. I didn't even come prepared. I had on like shoes that I hadn't worn hiking before, but they were for that too. I had on random clothes. I did not care. And after talking to the owner a little bit, I asked her, should I bring a weapon? Bear country, this and that. I had all kinds of anxieties and fears about doing it. At the same time, I knew I had been talking myself down inside about the idea that our fear is, fear is our biggest barrier, right? Fear creates our perceived limitations. And that was just a perceived limitation. And I had to think about how I'm more vulnerable as a woman, going out at night in the city than I am walking through the woods where there might be animals. right? So I really had to rationalize and talk to her. And she said, listen, they're more scared of you than you are of them. If it makes you feel better, I'll give you an umbrella. And I was like, you know what? I'm good. And I just took off. She said the trail was clearly marked, which it was. It's one color all the way up, pretty much a straight shot. It's very well traveled, and you have cell phone service the entire way. So she was like, drop a pin when you leave so I can monitor. So I knew it needed to happen. I knew that everything was set for me to do this, and something inside of me knew that I needed to do this. And so I did. And I didn't stop. I wasn't in the best hiking condition. I'm an athlete. I was playing ball at the time. I run all the time. I work out, whatever, lift weights. But I wasn't like regularly hiking. And I say that to say that I just went. And I took my little speaker and I played my sound healing music low. But also because when you're alone, if you have sounds, it keeps animals away. So I had some noise going the whole time. But I'll say I zoned out. I zoned out and I went. And it was an amazing and freeing experience. And I locked into this mindful hike where all I did was zone in on my sounds and the nature and myself. And I just went. And it was so liberating. It was so, I felt really accomplished. And there was something special about this hike. I felt a lot of things I haven't shared, which, some I'll keep to myself. But I liken the experience to sort of an awakening I had that day, like a spiritual awakening. And it's been happening ever since. That was a catalyst to a lot of different parts of me that I've been working on and paying attention to and healing ever since. And it's led me to a much, not just that, but incorporating that as well as all of the things that I've studied my whole life in different capacities, as well as really hunkering down on my mindfulness practices. It's it's catapulted and shifted my perception as well as my feelings of self, my healing, the way I interact with the world, incorporating a deeper understanding of how nature is healing, not at a surface level, right? Taking it from the mindfulness, anchoring ourselves in that mindfulness piece, which I'll talk more about in the second video, and bringing nature into our lives at a fundamental level that helps you, that you really, all of us should understand that it is ultimately healing, physically and mentally and emotionally healing. And science says that, right? So this experience, I imagine, bringing you into my catalyst, my growth spurt of life that was ignited by that solo hike. So much so that after that day, I was so moved, so inspired, so, starting this emotional purge and understanding of self on a level that I've never had before. I now understand my emotional complexities as well as my body on a deeper level that I've never experienced before. And it started that day. That day not only inspired this deeper growth and healing journey in me, it also inspired and started to open up many, many things for me again. I was inspired to write after that day. It just unlocked pieces of me. And I can go on and on with that. So I'm inviting you naturally. This wasn't planned. Let me go back. So after I did the hike, I was inspired to bring every single person that is close to me on that hike. So right after that, I believe I brought my husband next. And I also was inspired, again, natural instincts to bring down a piece of the mountain, which was a rock, not planned, but I knew I needed something. There was something in me that felt the energy of that place, the history. And I know that energy is carried through the nature, through the rocks. There's things held in that rock, memories, people that have walked, indigenous people that have roamed those lands, the Mohicans. All of that is carried through the earth and those rocks. So I was inspired to take a rock and inspired to take every one of my family members on that sacred hike. So I took my husband and made him bring a rock. And I took my mom, had her get a rock. And I always bring a rock back. Um, then I took my son, right? And my daughter's remaining. We're working on that. And now you all, because I feel so connected and so inspired by that journey that I want everyone else to feel that too. And I know that through this process of a year, and sure prior to that, right, but it being sort of accelerated in the past year, that I've tapped into a healing part of myself. And I know that it's who I am, and I know that this is a gift for myself, but for others that I can share. Right. So it's all inspired. I didn't plan this video. I hope that it helps sort of contextualize my experiences and why I'm doing this. It's really out of love. It's out of a shared desire for others to heal and grow, particularly women, um, and helping others understand the holistic nature of all the tools you have inside of you, but all around you that help you heal, not just mentally, but physically. And our bodies really desire to be in equilibrium, balance, but that balance is not what we're all taught. And so in the next video, I want to get into mind, body, spirit, mindfulness practices, how to incorporate that in your life daily, particularly to prepare for the hike mentally, and what it really means to be balanced, mind, body, spirit. We are ultimately distracted with so many misconceptions on that. And I hope to help people understand that better. And just hope that you all find this experience rewarding. And I'm looking forward to sharing the hike with you all. Hope you have a good Monday.